find shame to be such an important topic that I'm going to keep talking about it. In the first video on shame, we talked about what shame is. In this video, we're going to keep refining our understanding of shame. See, with mental health, we have these ideas, these words like anxiety, depression, grief, sadness, and we think of them as words, and then we struggle to know what to do with them. But if we can put a picture to what's going on with our mental health, it makes it more digestible, and we can know what to do with it in a better way. So here's how I'm going to conceptualize shame for you. I like to think of shame as a fungi, like a fungus or a mushroom. And with a mushroom or a fungi, right, well, you see something on the surface usually, and then, but what's below the ground are what's called hyphae. Hyphae are like roots. If you ever have pulled up a prairie plant and there's roots all over the place, that's what hyphae are. They extend from the body of the fungus and they go everywhere. It's kind of disgusting actually, because they can go through things like wood and they go through dirt. It's how the fungus grows. And that's how I think of shame. Let me explain. When we're in the present moment and we have an experience of shame, let's go back to the mistake example. I made a mistake, right? And you blow it up. Oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I suck, blah, blah. All the shame statements that we talked about in the first video, right? The shame doesn't stop there, does it? Right? That's just what we see of shame in the present. That's like the body of the mushroom. Well, if we're careful about our shame, we will see that shame extends into our past, into other areas of our life through hyphae, just like a fungus. So when we're dealing with shame, we need to dig. If you want to root out shame, you've got to pull it out at the roots. So how do we do this then? So once we have a moment of shame in the present moment, if we think of shame like a mushroom with hyphae, well, we have to pull out the hyphae. Right? We have to find where it's infiltrated and pull it out. So shame can have its origin in many different ways. Often it's trauma. When we've had something really scary and horrible happen to us, it creates shame. And when we don't deal with the trauma, or we haven't had an opportunity to deal with the trauma, it grows over time, and the hyphae go deeper, and they spread out more, and they go to more places over time, until you end up at that present moment when you've made a mistake, and your brain blows it up, right? Remember, shame is a manipulator, it's a distorter. So you have this big experience of shame. But when you really look at it, you can see, whoa, look at where the shame started. Look at all the hyphae and where it went. So when we're trying to deal with shame, one of the things we can do is look back and trace out where the hyphae are. Where did it originate? What's the source of the shame? Is it trauma? Or is it an external source? Like someone said something really horrible to you. Maybe they meant it, maybe they didn't mean it. Either way, what happened is we internalized that and shame took a hold of it. So maybe somebody made a comment at one time about what we looked like in that dress. Or they made an offhand comment about our hair. Maybe not being delicious, but that's how we internalized it. And then shame took a hold of it and distorted it. So finding the source of the shame and rooting out those hyphae are really important things to do when we're feeling shame. Now another question, why don't we want to get rid of shame? Or rather, why do we hold on to our shame? Why do we hold on to the idea that, yeah, I really am a failure and I suck? Well, one of the things that comes to my mind is that it's what we know. If we have a whole lifetime of shame, right? If we have shame throughout our childhood, when we become adults, man, that feels really familiar. And it can be uncomfortable to break that habit. Maybe we don't even know what we're doing. Maybe we don't even know what shame is. But if you really want to get rid of shame, I would encourage you to face it, right? Like you don't need to keep that around anymore. It doesn't do you any good, right? As we established in the first video, shame is never good. So finding the origin of shame and then rooting it out. recognizing when you're falling into a habit of shame.